In a world of billionaires, a few men live beyond that. The fortunes so vast, they're measured in trillions. These aren't tech tycoons or hedge fund CEOs. They're kings, Arab kings. From gold-plated jets to oil-funded empires, this is the untold story of how the richest Arab monarchs live, and what power really looks like. In the modern world, where billionaires battle for influence with tech stocks and crypto portfolios, a different kind of wealth still reigns supreme, one built on oil, land, power, and centuries of rule. We're talking about the Arab kings, real monarchs with real thrones, and fortunes that quietly dwarf those of Silicon Valley giants. These aren't ceremonial figureheads. They are living emblems of sovereign control, and their wealth flows as deep as their family lines. Start with Saudi Arabia, where the royal family is not just rich, they're entrenched in every corner of nation's economy. The House of Saud, led by King Salman and his son Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, sits on an empire estimated to be worth $1.4 trillion. MBS alone has effective control over Saudi Aramco, the world's most profitable company, with a 2022 profit of $161 billion. This isn't inherited fortune. It's institutional power disguised as business. Then there is the United Arab Emirates, where Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, president and ruler of Abu Dhabi, quietly commands influence across the Gulf and beyond. His personal net worth is estimated at over $20 billion, though it's nearly impossible to separate his own fortune from the state's investments, given the overlapping web of holdings in sovereign wealth funds like ADIA and Mubadala. Qatar plays the game differently, with scale and soft power. Amir Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani has carved a global footprint with one of the largest art collections on earth. Just one piece, Paul Cézanne's The Card Players, reportedly cost over $250 million. The Amir's family is also behind the Qatar Investment Authority, which holds stakes in Harrods, Barclays, Tiffany & Co. and the Shard in London. His personal holdings and family wealth run deep, and estimates place their collective art assets alone at over $1 billion in Kuwait, Oman, Bahrain, Jordan, and Morocco. The monarchies may not hold oil reserves as massive, but their influence is no less profound. King Mohammed VI of Morocco is one of Africa's wealthiest individuals, with holdings in mining, agriculture, and finance through the royal investment from Almada. But knowing who they are is just the start. Let's see where they actually live and how royalty defines luxury. When kings dream, they don't think in square footage, they think in kingdoms. Across the Arab world and far beyond, the richest monarchs own real estate that goes beyond luxury. These are not just homes, they are fortresses of legacy, museums of power, and stages built to remind the world exactly who's in charge. In Riyadh, at the center of Saudi Arabia's capital, stands the imposing Al Yamama Palace, the official residence of King Salman. Behind its walls, decisions are made that shape global oil prices and foreign policy. The palace is known for its endless marble corridors, crystal chandeliers, and a level of ornamentation that suggests nothing is ever too much. It's more than a home, it's a symbol, the beating heart of a monarchy built on oil and authority. To the east, in the United Arab Emirates, stands Qasr al-Watan, the palace of the nation. While technically a working palace used for state affairs, it also serves as a showroom of Emirati grandeur. Its massive white domes, etched mosaics, and golden calligraphy walls stretch across 380,000 square meters. Visitors walk into it like entering a royal cathedral built for deals, diplomacy, and dignitaries. Further west in Rabat, Morocco, the royal palace is a blend of Islamic tradition and modern luxury. It's surrounded by lush Andalusian gardens and guarded entrances that separate royalty from everyday life. King Mohammed VI uses it as both a ceremonial residence and political nerve center. The palace embodies Morocco's unique position as a monarchy, deeply rooted in centuries of culture, yet thriving in modern power. But Arab royalty doesn't just build, they buy. In France, Mohammed bin Salman quietly purchased the Chateau Louis XIV for $300 million. Despite its classical design, the mansion is brand new, built between Versailles and Marly. and includes a moat, underwater meditation room, and gold leaf fountain. The deal was so discreet that the buyer's identity only surfaced later in a New York Times investigation. Meanwhile, the Qatari royal family has become one of London's biggest private landowners. Their portfolio includes Dudley House, a restored 18th century mansion on Park Lane, and substantial property in Mayfair. The family's real estate reach stretches from the Shard to entire blocks of luxury retail and hotel real estate. And with palaces like these, their travel needs to match. So let's talk transportation at a king's level. In the world of Arab royalty, movement isn't just about getting from place to place. It's about doing so with absolute dominance. When your palaces stretch across continents, your rides can't be ordinary. They must be airborne fortresses, floating cities, and street machines that turn gold into speed. For these kings, travel is theater. Start with Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. His personal aircraft is a Boeing 747, customized to feel more like a sky palace than a commercial jet. It reportedly includes marble finishes, private suites, a command center, and a room resembling a throne hall. It's not just transport, it's sovereign airspace. Then there's the story of Prince Al-Walid bin Talal, once among the wealthiest royals in the world, who made headlines by commissioning a custom Airbus A380, the largest passenger plane ever built. He called it the Flying Palace, complete with a concert hall, Turkish bath, and a garage for his Rolls-Royce. Though the order was later cancelled, the very idea tells you everything about the mindset. On water, the extravagance only grows. In 2015, MBS made a spontaneous purchase, a yacht named Serene, formerly owned by Russian vodka billionaire Yuri Shefler. The price, $500 million. The vessel is 439 feet long, with 2 helipads, a submarine hangar, and an underwater viewing room. It wasn't just a buy, it was a flex of casual power made during a vacation in the south of France. The Qatari royal family sails in the Qatara, a 124-meter super yacht that looks more like a floating royal residence than a leisure craft. It features multiple swimming pools, cinema lounges, and a design so secretive that interior photos have never been made public. Then there are the roads, where kings and princes don't drive but rather arrive. Gold-plated Rolls-Royces, Bugattis, Maybachs, and even diamond-encrusted SUVs have been spotted in this private garage of Saudi and Emirati royals. But no one rivals Sheikh Hamad bin Hamdan Al Nahyan, known globally as the Rainbow Sheikh. His car collection includes over 700 vehicles, and he owns the largest SUV in the world, a monster truck that looks like a mobile mansion. He even has a fully drivable Jeep built at 10 times normal size, displayed in his private auto museum. But kings don't just collect toys, they build dynasties through investments and business empires. While most billionaires build empires, Arab monarchs inherit them, then scale them to levels the world's biggest corporations struggle to match. Their wealth isn't just locked in palaces and gold-plated toys, it's buried deep in the foundations of the global economy. From London's real estate to Wall Street's trading floors, the richest Arab kings have placed their flags in the heart of international business. Start with Saudi Aramco, the crown jewel of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Officially a state-owned oil company, Aramco is more than a business, it's the royal family's financial engine. Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, through his leadership of the Public Investment Fund, has direct influence over it. In 2022, Aramco reported profits of $161 billion, making it the most profitable company on earth. Even after its partial IPO, the majority stake remains tied to the state, and by extension the royal family. Every drop of oil sold pumps wealth into the House of Saud. In the United Arab Emirates, the business power is split between two global titans, Mubadala Investment Company and the Abu Dhabi Investment Authority. Both are sovereign wealth funds with combined assets in the trillions, and both report to Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan, the president and ruler of Abu Dhabi. Mubadala owns stakes in companies like AMD, Airbus, and Carlyle Group, while ADIA has bought up prime real estate across New York, London, and Paris. These aren't just investments, they're quiet ways of shaping global influence through capital. Qatar, a much smaller country by land, plays a giant game when it comes to investing. The Qatar Investment Authority owns a portfolio that stretches across luxury and legacy. They control Harrods, parts of Barclays and shares in Volkswagen and owned Paris Saint-Germain, one of Europe's elite football club. When the World Cup came to Doha in 2022, it wasn't just sport, it was brand placement on a planetary scale. Then there is Prince Al-Walid bin Talal, once nicknamed the Arabian Warren Buffett. Through Kingdom Holding Company, he built a fortune with early stakes in Apple, Twitter and Citigroup. For years, he was a familiar face at Davos and Wall Street, until the 2017 Ritz-Carlton purge reshuffled the Saudi hierarchy. Even now, his fingerprints remain across some of the world's most valuable corporations. And while their business influence reaches Wall Street, their personal lifestyles often collide with Hollywood. For the richest Arab kings and princes, wealth isn't just counted in oil barrels or investment returns. It lives in experiences, moments so extravagant they blur the line between myth and reality. These monarchs don't just surround themselves with luxury, they curate it, shaping entire atmospheres where royalty and celebrity blur under chandeliers and desert skies. In 2019, Mariah Carey landed in Saudi Arabia for a private concert, not a tour, not a festival, just a hand-picked audience of VIPs and royal guests. Before that, Janet Jackson and Pitbull had also performed for Saudi elites, flown in and staged under tight security in palatial compounds where the audience was as exclusive as the talent. These weren't public spectacles, they were curated nights of sound and status, where fame bowed to the crown. Meanwhile, in Qatar, Amir Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani is building a different kind of empire, one hung on walls. His family is behind one of the most expensive private art collections in the world. They've paid more than $250 million for Paul Cézanne's The Card Players, added Gauguin and Warhol to their vaults, and reportedly sent billions collecting and preserving modern and classical works. Much of it is displayed at the Museum of Islamic Art and National Museum of Qatar, but some pieces never see public light, locked away in climate-controlled storage known only to curators and kings. Over in UAE, Sheikh Mansour bin Zayed Al Nahyan turned a football club into a global brand. When he bought Manchester City in 2008, the club was just another mid-tier name. Today, it's a dynasty. With record-breaking players, Premier League titles, and a worldwide fan base, Mansour transformed sport into diplomacy, making football his soft power play in Europe. UAE royals are also regulars at the Monaco Grand Prix, Cannes Film Festival, and Art Basel in Miami and Switzerland. These aren't vacations, they're networking missions in tailored tuxedos and diamond-studded watches, where deals are made over $50,000 dinners and new alliances are toasted with rare vintages. In London and Paris, high-end boutiques on Bond Street and Avenue Montaigne have been known to close their doors to the public when a royal arrives, not just for security, but for exclusivity. Inside, personal stylists, jewelers, and fragrance makers present new collections like court offerings. But for all the extravagance, these monarchs have also been at the center of massive controversies. Power in the royal world doesn't come without its shadows. Behind the silk curtains and billion-dollar yachts, there have been ruthless decisions, international outrage, and silent wars fought in boardrooms and palaces. No monarch rises this high without stepping through controversy, and in the Arab world, the headlines haven't always been gold-plated. In 2017, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman launched a move that shook the entire Middle East. More than 200 princes, ministers, and businessmen were summoned to the Ritz-Carlton Hotel in Riyadh, then quietly detained in what was labeled an anti-corruption purge. Men who once held shares of Aramco and sat atop global companies were locked in luxury suites turned prison cells. Among them was Prince Al-Walid bin Talal, once the face of Saudi capitalism aboard. Officially, the kingdom said over $100 billion were recovered in settlements. Unofficially, it was the moment MBS tightened his grip on the kingdom by breaking the old guard, all without firing a shot. The world's gaze returned to him just a year later, but this time with fury. Jamal Khashoggi, a Saudi journalist and Washington Post columnist, walked into the Saudi consulate in Istanbul in 2018 and never walked out. Turkish intelligence leaked audio recordings. The UN demanded accountability. US intelligence linked the killing directly to the Crown Prince's inner circle. MBS denied personal involvement, but the damage was done. Saudi Arabia's image was stained, and the kingdom's soft-power diplomacy was thrown into crisis. In the UAE, the rule of Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed has been praised for modernization but criticized for silencing dissent. Human rights groups point to the arrest of peaceful activists, the heavy surveillance state, and the lack of political freedoms. Dissent isn't debated, it's deleted. Qatar, despite its gleaming World Cup stadiums and luxury towers, faced global scrutiny for its treatment of migrant workers. Reports by Amnesty International and The Guardian exposed how hundreds of laborers died under poor conditions during tournament preparations, sparking protests across Europe and a reckoning on the price of prestige. Even Morocco faced international fire when it was linked to the Pegasus spyware scandal. Investigations revealed journalists and critics were allegedly targeted through phone surveillance software capable of accessing messages, microphones, and cameras, a digital tool wielded like a secret blade. So with all this power, wealth, and backlash, where does the road lead next for the Arab monarchies? Arab royalty is rewriting its legacy, not by abandoning power, but by evolving it. The next chapter of their rule won't be written solely in oil or gold. It will be built on data, diplomacy, and disruptive innovation. The palaces remain, but the blueprint for tomorrow looks nothing like the one their fathers ruled by. At the heart of this shift is Vision 2030, Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman's radical plan to transform Saudi Arabia from a petrostate into a global innovation hub. The strategy aims to diversify the economy through tourism, technology, sports, and entertainment. One of the most ambitious pieces of this vision is NEOM, a $500 billion smart city rising in the desert. This isn't just a city, it's a sci-fi dreamscape of vertical buildings, robot workers, and AI-powered infrastructure, stretching across 26,000 square kilometers. It's meant to show that Saudi Arabia can export more than oil, it can export ideas. The UAE, led by Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed, is playing its own game. With the creation of the Mohammed bin Zayed University of Artificial Intelligence, the Gulf is putting serious capital into becoming a tech and science powerhouse. The UAE has already sent a spacecraft, Hope, into orbit around Mars, making it the first Arab nation to reach that milestone. They've also laid out a long-term plan to colonize Mars by 2117. No longer satisfied with earthly influence alone, renewable energy projects like Masdar City, an eco-friendly urban experiment, aim to shift the narrative from oil to sustainability, all while still leveraging one of the largest sovereign wealth fund in the world. Qatar, fresh off hosting the 2022 FIFA World Cup, is now repositioning itself as the cultural capital of the Arab world. Beyond football, its investment in education, media, and the arts have grown significantly. Institutions like Qatar Foundation and Education City partnered with global universities, aiming to make Doha a magnet for talent and diplomacy. They've bet big on soft power, using culture as currency in global politics. Across the Gulf, younger royals are rising. Figures like Sheikh Hamdan bin Mohammed Al Maktoum, Dubai's crown prince, are redefining what monarchy looks like in the digital age. Known for his adventurous Instagram presence and youth-focused initiatives, he represents a generation fluent in both tradition and technology. These younger leaders aren't just inheriting thrones, they're curating influence across platforms that their predecessors never imagined. And as tech investments, space ambitions, and futuristic cities rise, the Arab monarchies are quietly repositioning themselves not just as rulers of nations, but as players in the next global reset. They live in gold palaces, control oil fields, and walk red carpets. But what does their future really look like? Leave your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for more.